Well, as I say, we have another fantastic one, but we really do today. Today this gentleman has been on already, and we wanted a part two. We've been trying to get together. It has worked out. It's none other than Paul Petersen from the Donna Reed Show. So, Paul, I appreciate you. Thank you for being back on.
You bet, my pleasure. There's lots of stuff we didn't talk about.
I mean, there was a lot. You know what? First thing I'd love to talk about actually is my dad, because I felt like, we talked extensively about the Donna Reed Show and it was awesome. But that song is like literally, I've gone back, I've watched it. It still makes you you get kind of teary-eyed, you know?
Of
Um,
course, it's a brilliant song. Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil wrote that song when Barry lost his dad. And when he brought it to Stu Phillips, and Stu said, well, what's Paul going to do with it? And he said, we'll just change the tense. It's not he wasn't much in the eyes of the world, but he isn't much in the eyes of the world. And that's what I sang to Carl Betz.
wow, wow. I didn't know it was based in essence, in a real situation.
Well, I think great songs are rooted in real situations, whether it's, born in the USA or proud to
Mhm.
be an American. There's something essentially real at the floor. And I was just listening to Billy Joel, I
Right.
am an innocent man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and I think that's true of great songs.
Did you what do you remember when they first brought it to you? And looking at this song and thinking, I mean, what happened?
Oh, absolutely. When Stu went to teach it to me, I was in tears. I mean, I was in tears. And this is, mind you, this is well in advance of the birth of my two sons.
Yeah.
So yeah, to this day, it holds up just like that. I remember vividly the production of actually singing it to Carl and him suddenly tearing up, looking over at Donna and Shelley, and they're tearing up. It's like it was pretty potent stuff.
Wow. That goes beyond acting.
Well, yeah, it's not acting. It's the
Yeah.
old Spencer Tracy thing. Don't let anybody catch you at it.
Right.
Well, there were. This wasn't about dramatic abilities. This was a genuine feeling. I adored Carl. He was my friend. He was a mentor and role model. He was so different than all the other men I knew,
Hmm.
who were mostly people who worked with their hands and who were kind of rough and tough when they needed to be. That wasn't Carl at all. He was a Carnegie Mellon trained drama major.
Hmm.
He won the Carnegie Award. Well, he shared it with Robert Ludlum, the author.
Oh, that's right. That's
Wow.
right.
He was an artist. And I came to appreciate acting as an art, but that's not my style. I think most actors are kind of pretentious, to tell you the truth.
Oh, sure, sure. No, I agree. I totally agree. Were you surprised when it caught on though, as it did, beyond just that episode of a show? It was like, wow, I mean, it was a big hit.
Well, it was a big hit, but in a strange way. It got up to number 6 in the country, number 6, on the Billboard charts.
Sure.
But it lasted for weeks and weeks and weeks
Right.
because it kind of spilled into Father's Day. And then the first Father's Day, when it was familiar, people came to rely on it to express their sentiments towards their fathers. And gradually, I came to see it as a Father's Day classic. And there's only 3 or 4 Father's Day songs
Hmm.
that have stuck around. This is not like well, another song was Oh My Papa with Eddie Fisher.
Oh yeah.
I- if you have something of that quality and that much impact, it sticks around. Golly, my dad has played at so many funerals and weddings where dad isn't present, and not to mention Father's Day.
Yeah, yeah. How by the way, do you still see like I don't know what that how that works because I'm not a musician, but do you see like residuals or anything from that or
Oh, there's a thing called Sound Exchange. I get a few pennies for the uh, airplay of it, which
yeah,
is nice. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate it.
I
But
get
you're
it.
talking, maybe $50 a quarter.
Yeah, I got you. I figured. And then you had Lollipops and Roses. Yeah.
That's right. Jack Jones had the first hit, the mainstream hit, but I outsold him 3-1. But that just tells you the power of a television show.
Oh yeah, without it. How did you feel about having like, a singing career? What'd that feel like?
I wanted to be Ricky Nelson.
Yeah.
I loved it. Fast cars, faster women. Of course, I loved it. I was, as even Shelley will tell you, I was never afraid of a microphone.
Did you I don't even know. Did you like tour with it a little bit? I mean,
Yeah,
what
only a little bit.
uh-huh.
And I I didn't much like appearing night after night after night. I did that with the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars.
Oh.
And I was on the road with 10, 12 quality acts. I mean, people like the Supremes and the Drifters,
Oh
uh,
my gosh.
Gene, Gene Pitney, Peter and Gordon, Jackie DeShannon,
Wow.
and from the countryside, Ronnie Dove. And I admired them hugely, John. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I felt very much to be a master manipulator, the same moves night after night, elicited the same responses. It was nice to have the young girls screaming and stuff, but even that gets old. And I, it wasn't, I just wasn't cut out for that. I could
Mhm.
admire the professionalism of the people I was appearing with. And I did get that. I understand.
Yeah.
And I did my time, on bandstand with Dick Clark. But the music world was not my first choice.
I get you. I totally get you. It's funny because, as you know, I've talked to Shelley before and she talks about, and by the way, Stanley Livingston talks about this too. They had this moment in Stockton where they had to perform live. And in both their cases, they were like, it was an exciting moment, but it was not what they wanted. Like they were petrified, literally,
Yeah,
you know.
I never really. Well, the very first time I appeared, we were at the Olive Recreation Center in Burbank. Now that's my hometown.
Yeah.
So there were neighborhood kids in the audience, and the house band, you'll love this, was the Beach Boys.
Oh my gosh.
Swear to God.
Wow.
And I was anxious to get out there. So my fellow performers happened to be Bill Medley and Bobby Hatfield from the Righteous Brothers.
Wow.
And Bill and Bobby grabbed me by the elbows and walked me out to the mic. I just couldn't get started.
Yeah, I believe it.
But it was once I started singing, it was fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like the butterflies, and then you're ready to go
Yeah,
once
well,
I'm done.
exactly. So
Yeah.
now, what I have a funny story. Years
Sure.
later, Mickey Dolenz asked me to come sing with him
Oh,
at the Decatur celebration. And he said, I want you to sing, She Can't Find Her Keys and My Dad. People will love it. Well, what Mickey didn't tell me is the Decatur celebration had a crowd of 100,000 people.
100,000?
Swear, when I walked out on stage, I'm looking at an ocean of people.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
Fortunately, I had invited my goddaughters, the twins, to come sing with me. Ashley and Crystal, they did the backup parts. And once I started singing, it was fun. Remembering the words was a challenge, of which she can't find her keys. And we did 2 shows that day on a Sunday.
Wow.
And between shows, Fred Puglia was the promoter, drove me in a golf cart over to this bank. And they opened the doors to the bank on a Sunday. And what the heck is this? And they paid me in cash for my appearance. Well, I put the cash in my pocket, and for the second show, I sang like a bird. That was so fun. That was really,
Wow.
the years go by.
What is that like? I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but literally, I've seen those shows like, you see Simon and Garfunkel or Garth
Yeah.
Brooks, these artists that have been, they go to Central Park and you see that like going on and on and on of people. What is that like to walk out
Well,
on the stage and you're this big and,
yes,
know?
but so are the people out in the audience. They're only that big too.
Wow.
And I have the advantage. All I have to do is take my glasses off and it's all fuzzy. Now, I don't, there were so many tricks for people who are intimidated by a crowd.
Yeah,
There are things like imagine everyone has no clothes on.
I've heard that. Yes.
Well, you heard that one. But then you would meet a real old pro like Debbie Reynolds,
Yeah.
who loved it. She was able, and I saw her do this in a theater with like 2,500 people. She found a way to make a connection with each and every face in that audience.
Wow.
She saw them. I could never do it like that. But as I said, that was not my natural element.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. And boy, did I respect the people who made that their life. And I did. Look who I got to work with, for goodness sakes. The Wrecking Crew, the most famous studio
Oh,
musicians in the industry.
yeah.
Being able to sing songs that were written for me by what's her name? Carol.
Oh,
Can't name it. Carol
Carol Bear Sager.
King.
Oh, Carol
No,
King.
Carol King.
Yeah.
Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil. They had a little hit song before my dad. Think something called "You Never Close Your Eyes."
Oh,
That's the
God.
or they say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. That's them too.
Look, these are
And
like,
for people
they're
who
still
don't
classics.
remember, he's the guy who did "Who Put the Bop in the Bop She Bop She Bop."
Oh my
Who put the
God.
ram in the ram ram ding dong.
These are so great.
So I mean, there were some big people, and I learned lessons also during the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars. I had a seatmate on the bus, usually Gene Pitney, and after every show, Gene would open up his briefcase and put it on his lap. Now we're on a bus, in the Midwest, and write thank you notes to the people he met that day, mostly radio people and concert promoters and all the rest. And I said to him,
Wow.
Gene, why do you do that? And he explained, I want to be in this business for a long, long time.
Wow.
And there he was. This is town without pity guy,
Wow.
but it was an important lesson.
Hmm.
And to be able in the dead of night, I'm talking 4 a.m, between gigs on a single bus,
Oh,
all of a sudden you'd hear a guitar, and it was Abdul from the Drifters starting a song, and the people on the bus would start singing. It for me personally, it took my breath away
wow.
because I admired so their skills and ability, and it was genuine talent. There was no pretend.
Hmm.
It was real.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. What was, by the way, what was Mickey Dolenz like? I've actually wanted to have him on the show. He's very hard to connect with, but what was he like?
Well, he was great, but I knew him way before Mickey Dolenz days. He was Mickey Braddock when he did Circus Boy.
Circus
So
boy.
that's even before. But he was a neighborhood friend
Hmm.
and a fellow kid actor. So I knew the whole family. But he's always been very kind to me, and I have always respected his abilities. And the Monkees stuff, hey, it holds up. It was fun. And when you have relationships like that, you kind of not only do you understand and appreciate what others see, which is the high profile, the visible part of their life, but I knew the other stuff as well.
Hmm.
You know, the relationships that they had and the difficulties they may have faced in the neighborhood. I knew that stuff also. And Mickey he's a good friend.
What was he like then as a young kid when he was, around that circus boy time?
He was a very talented young performer who got his share of work. But of course, there was also a part of me as a competitive kid actor, roughly Mickey's age, uh, when we went up for jobs, the same jobs,
Oh.
uh, I wanted to win.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always that edge of a competitive edge.
Yeah.
When there were people, well, like Johnny Crawford, and Johnny and his brother Bobby, I would see them on auditions, and there were only a few people that I felt, I don't know how to say this without sounding like an egomaniac, that I felt were in my league, that were
Yep.
as good as I was. And more than once, it came down to head-to-head competitions, and I got my share of jobs.
Yeah. 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 Would you get down to it with Johnny Crawford sometimes, like getting down to like, the final thing?
Oh, sure, it happened all the time. One in particular was uh, Playhouse 90
Oh, yeah.
with a well-respected drama called Circle of the Day, which starred Michael Rennie and James Mason. There are some pretty big names in there.
Oh, yeah.
And it was down to the last two, and I got the job. But that started early. You know, I was going on auditions sometimes 2 and 3 times a week.
Wow.
And even up a place, well, there was a place called Cascade, which did a lot of commercials. So I would see the gang all the time. And I was not the kid being slapped around after the auditions by disappointed parents.
Hmm.
I was not the kid who took it too seriously. I figured if they didn't hire me, it's their mistake.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I got to meet all the quality kid actors in town at the same time. And when the jobs got much bigger, when they got to the level of Houseboat with Cary Grant and Sophia Loren,
Sure.
the people who made the choices, who decided who got cast and who didn't, I respected their judgment because they were industry giants. They were skilled and had a history. And then it came, to the Donna Reed Show that only the best of the best in Hollywood, in my category,
Hmm.
even were invited to audition.
Hmm.
And that was an audition when they said yes to me. I did not have any idea that it would be 8 years of my life
Oh,
on
no.
that one decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can be chilling, to tell you the truth.
Well, life changing, really. I mean,
Well, of course.
yeah.
Tony Dow said it great. He said, poof, there goes your life.
Wow.
I would talk with Bob Barker, 35 years doing one show. I couldn't imagine it.
I can't either.
You know, as a young person, uh, you need different challenges and different situation, new circumstances.
Hmm.
And I often talk about exactly this subject with people who've been on long running shows like Stan and Barry Livingston,
Yeah,
Don Grady before he passed away, Tim Considine, who was the older brother on My Three
of course.
Sons. And talked endlessly with Tony Dow because his life was impacted in much the way mine was. Uh, I, who else do you talk to about? I see similarities with some of these young athletes these days who are selected out by their contemporaries
Hmm.
as the next quarterback. This is the one who's going to be on a scholarship to USC, or this is the person who's going to University of Tennessee
Hmm.
and will be on a scholarship will go to the NFL. You figure all that stuff out by about third grade,
Right.
and like the Manning family. It just what a remarkable thing to watch. But what's their life experience?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not broadly based.
That's right. It's a small group. It's funny you would say that. I literally, and I'm glad you actually jogged my memory. 2 days ago, I actually went up and I talked with Billy Gray for a while. And
Yes, yes.
um, and by the way, before I forget, he literally, and I didn't even tell him that I was going to be speaking with you today. At the time, he said, by the way, I want to tell you, I saw the Paul Petersen interview and I really enjoyed it. He goes, if you see him again, would you please tell him I said hi? I said, I'm going to see
Uh,
Paul in 2 days. So, so anyway,
it's funny. Well,
yeah.
my wife Rana talks with Ellen all the time.
Oh, funny.
It's Billy. Well, I'll say this: I am younger than Billy by by a significant number of years. Billy is he is a great guy, but neither one of us hop on a motorcycle and go visit people
Right.
anymore.
I
You know,
understand.
there's a reason that I wear this cannula and that I'm on oxygen all the time. Not to mention the heart issues that I've had to deal with.
Yeah.
It's severely limiting, believe me. But you got to play the hand you're dealt with, at least in my mind.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, and then I would actually, for the audience, I think we should talk about your health and that would be good. But I wanted to tell you that Billy had said, you were talking about Tony Dow.
Yeah,
I get it. I really get it. It's like you are a select group that understand each other. Whether you see each other often, or not, you've lived the route that few have. And Billy was
yes,
saying that Tony Dow, they became very close at the end because Tony lived very close to him. They used to just go and play ping pong with each other.
yep.
And
It
and
that's
that's
it.
that's all it was. He said, because I said, did you talk about like, any of the, career wise? He said, no, no, we really didn't. We just were there with each other.
Yeah, they live way the hell out in Topanga Canyon, so
Exactly.
they're a long way. But
Yeah.
but that's the essential truth of the core membership in a minor consideration, and
Hmm.
this applies to girls and boys.
Yeah.
It's such a unique experience, composed firstly of show business parents.
Hmm.
Remember, all of us came to work with one or both parents, or at least a guardian sometimes
Right.
that we had to pay for ourselves. But uh, we all had that issue. Some of us had brothers and sisters, and you had to cope with that, where you're the famous one and they're not. How does that work in a
Yeah.
family dynamic? And you have to work hard to maintain a decent relationship with your siblings. And then how does it affect your future prospects? People think that becoming a young celebrity will expand your horizons, that
Hmm.
you'll have access to more and larger endeavors. The truth is, it shrinks your opportunities. People won't even consider you for a mundane job
Wow.
or for a starter position in a field of your choice.
Hmm.
And that makes it really, it makes you crazy sometimes. I remember one guy, well, I won't say his name. In one of our seminars, I asked him point blank, how could you not hire kid actors that you work with, whose work you know, when it comes to a new job? And he said, I sometimes see a lack of ability with these young performers. And I looked at him and said, gee, I paid your goddamn salary, me, and you wouldn't consider me for a job because I wasn't experienced enough?
Wow. I mean, seriously, come on.
Well, Shelley, I'm sure will tell you, as Billy will tell you, I get in people's faces about this stuff
Yeah.
because I know I'm not just talking about me.
No.
I have seen people lose their life because of these humiliations.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're not consciously driven, but it shows that underlying level of envy and resentment, and it can last a long time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of difficult to cope with that. So when I get angry at people or I confront them about this unfairness
Mm-hmm.
of even of their conduct towards a one-time idol, I know that I'm not just speaking for me. These aren't necessarily my personal
Mm-hmm.
experience. It's on behalf of all the youngsters that I know and knew who were subjected to this kind of low key, unspoken jealousy,
Mm-hmm.
and it it wasn't fair because you work so hard at age 10 or 12 or
Yep.
14 to impress other people, and they hold it against you. What a remarkable thing. Sad.
It's very sad. It really is. The well, by the way, before we forget, because I'm sure people will be like, once again, why didn't you ask them? But yeah, just can you tell the audience what obviously you have the oxygen.
Yeah,
What is going on? Where's your health at? Why don't you just let them know?
sure. We should talk about that. Uh, this is 55 years of 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm a long time smoker. I haven't smoked for now what almost 20 years. It's like drinking. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, this is self-inflicted damage to my lungs.
Hmm.
So the emphysema and COPD is real for me,
Yeah.
which is a shame. But I feel like Mickey Mantle. If I would have known the damage I was doing to myself, I would have quit long ago.
Sure.
But that's what this is about. That's the reason that at age 62, I guess somewhere, I took early retirement because I was just unable to keep up the pace that I wanted to keep up.
Hmm.
I've had a couple of health episodes that put me in a hospital, but I got over that. Uh, I'm 79 years old, John. That's 79, not a spring chicken.
I get it.
Uh,
I totally
I,
get it. I think you look pretty damn good
not bad,
considering everything. Yeah.
I'm older than Trump and younger than Biden.
Yeah.
And as my sister reminds me, I'm already significantly older than my father when he passed away. So
Wow.
that is how it goes.
Yeah,
But
without that.
people shouldn't be alarmed when I'm just ornery enough to look at people and say, I've had enough. I'm tired. I'm sitting down. Don't
Yeah,
talk to me for a while. And that's what I do.
that's fantastic. Well, I think that's great because believe me, the first interview, I know that you got a chance to look at a couple comments possibly, but
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of love out there for you. It was unbelievable. I mean, I had people saying, "Look, I'm even praying for you, Paul." I mean, they really care about you. So I think it's great that you share that, and I appreciate it. That's cool.
Well, I think it's important that celebrities of any description who are facing difficulties
Yeah.
to share that with their fan base. I when Annette went through her troubles with MS
Yeah.
and was trying to keep it a secret. Now, mind you, this is stumbling around in grocery stores
Yeah.
and badly slurred speech. In Hollywood, if people thought, well, she's a drunk. Not true.
Not at
She
all.
was dealing with a significant medical ailment. And when I asked her why she was so reluctant to tell America what was happening, she said, because people won't love me anymore.
Oh.
Now,
Oh.
that's painful to hear and so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to say the same thing to Dick Clark. Dick, you're not well. Why aren't you telling people you're not well? Well, people won't love me anymore.
Oh my gosh.
That's the drill. The
Wow.
show must go on kind of nonsense. It's just not true. When I spent 5 years on a television show out here in Los Angeles called Aging Well, and I did it for the Department of Aging for the city of LA. So people within the industry knew that I was hosting this show.
Mm-hmm.
And within the confines of Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, where I remember I sat on the board, both of these institutions, really well-known people would come up to me and quietly whisper, I'm having trouble with my mom, or I can't seem to get the Social Security to pay attention to my problems. And I would look at them and say, why are you whispering?
Yeah. Yeah. I was
You're in a
wondering that
room
too.
full of mature people, all of whom have parents, some of whom are not well. We're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
children who are addicted. All of us have those kind of problems.
Yep.
That's not something to hide from.
Mm-hmm.
It is not something to hide from. And we have to tell more truth is the answer. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. And I don't care who you are. And when it's tried, when you have a Farrah Fawcett, for example,
Yep.
who not only fully disclosed what she was dealing with, but allowed video cameras to be on hand.
Literally. Yeah. Right
Wow,
to the end.
incredible courage, incredible courage. And some of it wasn't attractive, but
Mm-hmm.
I always continued to love her and wish her well and pray for her.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a large number of the today's version of celebrities, that's what they haven't quite grasped yet. But the niches that they're willing to put themselves in,
Yep.
and then they live there, and then they feel, I'm put upon by people. They don't understand me. Go, if you would tell the truth, they would understand you.
Exactly. We're all are dysfunctional. I mean, I'm sorry. We
Yeah,
all come
well,
from that.
of course, we
You
all
know.
have something.
Yeah.
When when the Disney finally named a stage after Annette, stage one at Disney Studios
Oh, I didn't
is
know
the
that.
Annette stage. Oh yes,
Oh
it's
wow.
almost like it's a secret. And I went up to the chairman of the board and I said to him, why did it take you so long? She was living with MS for 26
Oh
years.
man.
Now, it was the right decision to name the stage after Annette,
Sure.
but it should have been done years ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The,
I get you. I get you.
there's all kinds of insults in the world. There really are.
Mm-hmm.
And I have felt fortunate enough to have friends from many walks of life. Um, I know I smile because I'm still friends with my grade school buddies, with my car racing buddies, with my music buddies, with my acting buddies.
That's fantastic.
E- Even to the point yesterday we had a birthday lunch for me, I wasn't able to go last month. And this is with my wife's high school class, which has adopted me. Isn't
Wow. Wow.
that
Okay.
wonderful?
That is wonderful. Jeez.
Yeah, it really is. Because you see, I don't have a graduating class.
Right.
The high school I graduated from has never invited me to a 20-year, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year reunion. It's like I didn't exist.
Did you have a situation like Shelley? We talked about this. She graduated, and I'm not going to remember it, but I swear it was like something like university.
Don't, no years. Don't you dare say a year.
Yeah, right, right. But she told me, she was like, I showed up and we were like going through the graduation. I think she knew one other person there, but she had gone through the studio system basically or whatever.
That is
And
correct. We were
yeah,
together, remember?
oh, that's
Yes.
right. Yeah. And so she was telling me though, it was rather funny because she's there and people are like, where like where did she come from? Like,
Well,
she was just there graduating, but it was like, was she here?
the when I went to high school, University High in West Los Angeles,
There we go.
I went there 2 days, one day to register and one day to graduate.
Sorry.
And my teacher was the same as Shelley, Dr. Lillian Barkley,
Wow.
had a wonderful education with really smart people that I got to work with every day.
Yeah.
But as you know, several decades have gone by, and you suddenly realize, wait, I missed all that.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's very different. Well, let's talk a little bit about your westerns. I know we didn't get a chance. I know we actually ended the last interview and it was very funny actually because you were like, I get killed in every one. But
Every single one.
yeah, what about, let's talk about a couple. A Time for Shot, or no, A Time for the Killing
Dime
was
for
one of
Killing,
them.
the Glenn Ford one, yes,
Yes. What was it
yes.
like on that? What was Glenn like? What was that? Any stories from there?
Well, I became fast friends with Glenn Ford,
Huh.
but it was, of course, I knew Inger Stevens because she had done her series there at Columbia with us, and I knew George Hamilton already.
Wow.
But the experience was kind of unique. I was not afraid of horses. I could ride. I wasn't like Johnny Crawford riding and roping and, bulldozing cattle. I didn't do that
Right.
stuff. But I could get up on a horse
Hmm.
with or without a stirrup. It was a fun experience. It was different. It wasn't a television show. It was a movie in the wilds of
Right.
Kanab, Utah.
Wow.
I very much enjoyed it. I liked the pace of movies, and that's the experience where you really understand that you're part of an endeavor that at times and on certain projects really does rise above ordinary professional employment.
I can see it.
It becomes something else again. And if you've got a really wonderful piece that you're portraying a part, or you're filming, or you're helping to build the sets, it does elevate the workplace. You can feel it in your bones.
What was Glenn like like, because he would have
Oh,
been pretty well established at that point, obviously.
I'll say, and he had starred with Donna Reed already, with that picture where their child is kidnapped. He was wonderful. And he had a son who is still my friend, Peter, who was with him in Kanab, Utah. And Peter and I hit it off. We are still really good buddies.
Huh,
But I'll tell you Glenn Ford's story.
sure.
Glenn Ford was old school. You better know what you're doing when you're doing a Western. Sammy Davis Jr. had this attitude. If they wanted you to be a gunslinger, you better know how to handle a gun.
Wow.
Sammy Davis Jr., for example, was a fast draw champion.
Didn't even know
But
that.
Glenn, oh, it's true. He he was, no, I can't even make the joke. I was going to say he was the dead eye shot bad.
Yeah, right. Right.
But
That's
with Glenn Ford, on the first day, they bring a lot of stock out. So you get to choose the horse that you're going to be riding for the picture.
hmm.
And they wanted me to pick out a distinctive horse because I was the youngest guy. And I picked out a Pinto, who was the dumbest horse I think I've ever ridden. And I mean, this horse would fall off a sand dune. He was just bad. And I looked up after I was astride this horse, and there's Glenn Ford on this beautiful stallion, proud, ears pricked up and erect and well balanced. And I said, "Geez, Glenn, what a beautiful horse. Where'd you get that horse?" And he kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, "Well, it's my horse." I said, "You brought your own horse? How cool. What's his name?" I said, "We call him Tops." I said, "Why do you call him Tops?" He said, "Paul, this is the Arizona champion cutting horse. Tops is a gold medal winner. And boy, that horse was a star."
wow.
But that was meeting Glenn Ford. There was no pretend.
Yeah.
He was comfortable in the saddle. No, I worked with other guys who were like that, Dan Blocker and
Yeah.
folks like that, and then some great stunt people who were even more accomplished. Um, I always liked Hollywood cowboys.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, they really did come right off the range and out of the pastures
Yeah.
to do the roping and the charge of the light brigade. They did that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Glenn Ford was great fun.
I love hearing that. And Harrison Ford, is that the one he was in
Yes,
with
that's one of I did two with
yeah,
Harrison Ford.
Journey to
He,
Shiloh is the other one, right?
right.
Yeah.
There's the other one.
To continue watching the rest of the interview with Paul Petersen, just go to the second episode of the interview available now on Nat's Classic. Enjoy.